What if you could change your life? What if sorrow could become joy and the darkness the light? What if you could heal not only yourself, but those around you? Well, you can. It's called alchemy. And these are the Alchemy Sisters. Join quantum karmic healer Jennie McDaniel and intuitive empowerment coach Mandee Elam for a magical journey into esoteric spiritual discussions. Brought to you by Heart Over Ego Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Alchemy Sisters. It's Monday here on Heart Over Ego Radio. That is when Jennie McDaniel and myself hold space with you on most Mondays to create an interview-style audio experience. We intend to bring shining stars from all over the world into a nice, safe container where they can speak their truths in an organic manner. So we always have all kinds of healers and teachers and speakers, and that's a little bit about our show. If it is your first time joining, we are honored to be with you. Jennie, how are you tonight?
I'm doing really good. I'm enjoying a nice view of the mountains, and I'm enjoying the view of some birds flying around the courtyard here. So I'm enjoying myself, and the sun's out here in north of Albuquerque, and just smiling, enjoying the view and enjoying the company. And for everyone just joining us, we are the Alchemy Sisters. I'm Jennie McDaniel, and my lovely co-host is Mandee Elam, and we are on the podcast network Heart Over Ego Radio. Go ahead to any major podcast app, search that, follow. You'll get downloads to all of our shows that we have here, which is about 8 right now. So you'll like our style, all spiritual in nature. We do have a guest tonight. There's some difficulties with, I guess, what do we have coming in? Mercury's in retrograde as well as some other planets. Either way, we're having
7 of them, 7 retrogrades.
Shit is off the chain. So we are just having some difficulties getting Sibyl on. If we don't get her on, we will certainly do a redo and get her on, because she is phenomenal, and I think you're really going to enjoy her view, her astrological view. So we'll see if we can get her on, and we'll pull her on as soon as we can.
Mm-hmm.
What should we talk about while we wait for Sibyl?
I'm feeling really blessed, I just want to say. You were talking about your weather. Yeah, and you were talking about your weather, and I'm in South Jersey. I was in Vermont last week, as our listeners know, but now I'm back in South Jersey, and it's just been like heavenly beach weather the past 3 days, and I feel like summer's like upon us, and I'm getting really excited for solstice and just all the magical things that are ahead. So I just wanted to say, it's been nice to have some nice summer-like weather.
It is indeed nice to get the vitamin D, get the sun. I mean, we are in June, so we should be experiencing some summer weather. A couple weeks ago, one of my co-hosts on Downward Dogma, which is on our sister network, Third Eye Political Radio, she's in Nashville, and she had a sweater on a couple of weeks ago. So it's definitely going to have some cold bursts probably still, but it is summer, and we're enjoying it. When is the summer solstice, like June 21?
Yeah, right around there. So I think it is actually the 21st this year. I'd have to double check, but yes. And something kind of cool randomly for our listeners is they're going to be video, I guess, broadcasting from Glastonbury or at Stonehenge this year. So I've been seeing that shared a lot in the past weeks. So people are really excited about that, to have a virtual experience there.
It's very exciting. I'm glad they're doing that. I never get an opportunity to fly over, so get an opportunity to watch it in video. So just want everyone to know all of our shows are archived. We did an amazing show on systemic racism, and we really covered a lot of angles, and that was our Saturday show, Creating Heaven on Earth. Go ahead and, again, look at all of our archived episodes on any major podcast app, or you can go right to Blog Talk Radio, and you can listen to that replay. Should we take a caller while we get our bearings and find a topic to talk about?
Sure. That sounds good.
Excellent. I'm going to bring on a caller. We have a caller from the 919. 919, you're on the air. What is your name and question?
Hi, my name is Jan. I was calling hopefully to get an astrology reading.
Oh, yes. Well, we're waiting for the astrologer. There's some funky things going on with the connection space here. So I can put you back on hold and we can wait for Sibyl to come on, or you can throw the question up in the air and we can take a look at it. And when Sibyl gets here, she can look at it. Your choice.
Well, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm just going through a lot of grief, a big transition now. I lost my husband a few months ago, and I just and just having a hard time, very difficult time. It was sudden, but yet he had been sick for a long time. But it was a lot of unresolved issues.
All right, let's take a look here. I'm going to take a look and talk to your spirit guides and get some information, and Mandee might be able to pull a couple cards for you. So what your spirit guides are saying is, and we talk about it on the show a lot, when you incarnate, so when you come into physical incarnation, you choose to come here to Earth, not because it's an easy one, because it's difficult. And we're bound up with emotions. It's a very beautiful human thing to have emotions. They just can kind of suck sometimes. They're great, but sometimes they're heavy. So what your spirit guides are saying is, these are the times that you came in to experience. Yes, of course, the joy and the bliss. But they're saying when your soul incarnates, it doesn't want perfection. It wants some difficulty so it can cut its teeth, so to speak, in its spiritual space. So what your spirit guides are saying is, oh, you're right where you need to be, even though it's hard. Losing and loss and death are an exceptionally normal part of incarnation. So as soon as we can kind of start to breathe around that a little better, it kind of settles us down, and then we can take a look at what's on our plate next. So what your spirit guides are saying is, you're going to go through grieving. It's going to be difficult, going to process, and things are going to come up, maybe even things from childhood, because when we go through traumas, they call it post-traumatic stress disorder for a reason, other traumas from the past come up when we're experiencing trauma and stress. So your spirit guides want you to know that not only did you choose to incarnate here, you knew it was going to be a rough gig, and you chose them to hold your back, so to speak, or have your back when you incarnate. They want you to be more connected with them, and you do that by knowing they're there, by simply just knowing that they're there. Then we start to create a relationship with them, because your husband, and he passed, you said, a couple months ago. Was that right?
Well, it's been almost a year.
Almost a year, okay. So your husband is also saying the same thing. So what you have are your spirit guides saying, we're with you, we're just in a different dimension. You can start to communicate with us more, and your husband's saying, with that same tactic, you can connect with me if you're not already. He's showing you are connecting on some level, maybe, I don't know, thoughts, ideas, feelings of him. So he's saying, I'm not gone. I'm in the non-physical, which is where we come from, which is our real home, and you're the one out on a mission still. When you get back to the non-physical, heaven, whatever you want to call it, then we're here, just like I am now, which Jennie's right. There's not a space for hate and greed and disorder here. It's all bliss energy. So we come to these physical incarnations to experience the like a turbulence a little bit. You don't learn in bliss. It's wonderful, but when you learn, it's when something strife comes up, some issue comes up, it rubs us the wrong way. So your husband now is basically saying, I'm in the non-physical, it's complete bliss. She's right, we incarnate to experience the opposite sometimes of bliss. Of course, we come in to experience bliss, but it's going to be tricky. And he's saying, I'm around, I'm just in a different form, and your spirit guides are around, they're just in the same form I'm in, and we got you. It's just you're going to have to put one foot in front of the other, because you're the one still having pieces in the game. You're in the physical still. You will, again, go back to where they are. And again, that's bliss. So when we're in bliss and someone says hate, we're like, what does that mean? Oh, God gave us a playing ground to come in and experience all kinds of emotions hate being one of them. So what your spirit guides want me to tell you before we hand you over to Mandee is that you are the determiner of your truth. You are steering yourself in this physical incarnation. It's very difficult. No one said it was going to be easy, but what they're saying is we want you to know that things are less destined and set in stone and more flexible and movable in the way that is suitable to you. So they're just saying, while you're having all this stuff come up, go through your emotion space, let it out, see counselors or healers or anyone that will hold space with you, because what they're saying is coming up and out is better than stuffing. Stuffing creates the post-traumatic stress disorder. So we are here always. Myself and Mandee even do deals, so to speak. So we do $50 an hour for our Blog Talk listeners. Anyone listening that doesn't get in today, or you, beautiful caller right now, just know that you can get a more in-depth reading. We can take a look and we can hone things out if you communicate with us. We only get a few minutes on air here. But we appreciate you for calling. We're going to put you back on. Wait, Mandee, you got a card? You got a card, Mandee?
I do. Jan, I'm really glad that you called in, and your angel team is coming in so strong for you. And like Jennie said, this isn't an easy experience that you're going through, but it's certainly one that your soul can handle. And they're nodding and giggling and saying that you knew what she meant when she was talking about the connection. The first card I pulled for you was Loved One in Heaven, which they want you to know that your husband is still very much with you, loves you eternally and infinitely, and is connecting with you in lots of ways. The next one, the card that I pulled, was the Signs from Heaven. They're showing him coming in dream space. I don't know if you've had that happen already, but if you haven't, it's going to come soon. You haven't yet?
Did
you say no, Jan?
I've experienced a lot of spiritual stuff. The thing, and I'm so grateful for all of that. And I know there's an afterlife, and he's with me, but it's just I miss our life. I miss him being here. I feel like my life has just been taken away.
Totally. And what they're showing, every relationship in our life, whether it's a partner or a spouse or a child or a parent or a best friend, every relationship in our life is temporary. And the one that we have in this incarnation is the one we have with ourselves. And that's the one that lasts the longest and the one we always need to pay attention to. And they're showing, as much as it's been hard adjusting to not having that relationship anymore, you have started to bridge a new relationship with the spirit world and with your husband spiritually. They were, like you said, showing all kinds of stuff. But it's time to maybe consider fostering a new relationship. And the last two cards that the angels pulled was study and learning and expressing your creativity. They're showing that you do have lots of ideas and creativity and things that you want to either maybe talk about or write about, some of it with your experience now, some of it just randomly. You've been an artist over and over in many different ways and versions, and they're showing a new relationship coming in for you, not only with your spirituality, but with an actual creative craft. Because that they're showing is maybe the stage you might be ready for next in your grief, and it's going to help you to transition into more peace and happiness in the next chapter of your life. And you had a beautiful chapter, all the ups and downs that make everything beautiful with your husband. And now you're going to have wonderful new things coming in. So we appreciate your call so much, Jan, and we're sending your heart so much love.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. And with the questions that she has going on today, I think that that's going to cover it for what we have available for online. Sibyl reads charts. She would need her name, where she was born, the time. So beautiful caller who we just communicated with, we're going to get Sibyl on. She's going to give all her contact information. Mandee, if you want to get her on Skype there, she's ready. What we're going to do is get her on, and she's going to communicate with us, and she's going to tell us how to get a hold of her. And Sibyl's sessions last 90 minutes or more, or right around there. So we only have like 5 minutes on air to read. So beautiful caller, if you will just hold tight and write down Sibyl's information, you will be able to get a personal one-on-one connection. Again, we just don't have the time to get up the charts and come at it from her angle, what she'll need as far as tools. Mandee and I do it kind of from the hip psychic stuff, so we hope that was helpful for you today. We do have free readings every Sunday on our show, Everyday Psychic Radio, same exact network, Heart Over Ego Radio. If you go to Heart Over Ego Radio on Blog Talk Radio or any major podcast app, like and follow, and you'll see all of our shows, especially the Sunday one, free readings of significance. We were able to toss you around between a couple psychics. So let's get Sibyl on. Do we have her?
I don't think so. Sibyl, are you with us? Nope, it's saying she's unavailable still.
I'll give her a message, but Mandee, I'll hand it over back to you, and you can hold some space for just a second.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, if it's your first time joining, we are the Alchemy Sisters, myself, Mandee Elam, and Jennie McDaniel. And each week we hold space with all of you and a new topic or healing modality. We tend to talk about current events. Sometimes we give out readings. Sometimes we have information. This past Saturday, we had a really beautiful discussion about healing the generational and systemic wound of racism and why it hurts everyone so much and keeps coming up, and what we can do to start alleviating that. So out of that conversation, we're actually going to be birthing a new series, potentially once a month, so stay tuned. That's coming. Another thing that is in creation right now is Jennie, myself, and our good friend Leah Sugar from the Green Witch Village. We are hosting every Friday a show called The Witching Hour, where you can tune in for healings, meditations. We invite you to drop out and tune in. And what we do is we talk and banter a little bit about current events in the beginning, and then you go through a trilogy of healings. Jennie typically takes you on an incredible journey, sometimes out of this world. Leah takes you on a very deep meditative body experience, but it's kind of different. It's a little different. It's more of an active meditation. And then I typically close up at the end and take you on some sort of journey to nourish you and help you remember your incredible worth and purpose in this world. So thanks so much for following us and tuning in with us here on Heart Over Ego Radio. So while we are waiting for Sibyl and Jennie and our technical difficulties, I thought that I would just pull a card for the collective right now. We've certainly got a lot moving and shaking, and there's definitely a lot that can be done with this energy, though it feels chaotic. So the first card that I pulled is called Earth Pulsing. This is from one of my favorite decks, the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. And this really reminds us that it's time to slow down. We are in a lot of retrogrades right now, I believe 7. Sibyl will probably confirm that with us in a little bit. But it's something that we can do while we're feeling a little uneasy, a little ungrounded. Maybe we're having trouble sleeping. I know a lot of moms I talked to today said their kids have just been up all weekend with this full moon and they're exhausted. So some things that we can do is really slow down, spend some time in nature, allow ourselves to connect with the earth. And an activity you can do is literally grounding and earth pulsing. It's summertime in most of the north right now. Go outside and stand on the ground in your bare feet, whether that's soil or grass or sand or river rock or whatever it is. You are going to feel a dramatic shift within your body and with your energetic being within 10 minutes. It takes away all of your negative energies and entities and ions, and it just replenishes you with all kinds of minerals and vitamins and nourishment. Another earth pulsing activity I love to do is I like to open my hands up and I face my palms up towards the sun when it's sunny out. And what this does is it gives your heart chakra not only a fill up and nurturing, but a cleansing. And your palms are an extension of your heart chakra. So if you just literally let your hands out in the sun for maybe 5 minutes a day, wow, what a world of difference your heart center will start feeling. Another thing that I've noticed within my clients that my guides are calling me to ask or show right now is there is some heartbreak happening. There's grief and transition with the COVID, with all kinds of different things going on astrologically. We've had a lot of grief and loss of family members and loved ones. And it hasn't been easy. Clearly, the country, we're in the United States. I know we have a lot of international listeners, but here in the United States, which has certainly been spread out all over the world, has been the rise of racism with the death of George Floyd, and it's been really intense. So there's been collective grief happening, which leads us into my next card, which is Empathic Starseed.
I got something for you, Mandee.
You do? A Sibyl?
Mm-hmm. Well, Sibyl, I tried to get on my computer and get her onto Heart Over Ego while you were beautifully communicating with our listeners, but I'll have you go ahead and do it because it wasn't connecting her. She's got 2 accounts. Remember how I had 2 accounts? Hers without the picture is the one that she's on. She got a new computer, and Microsoft has you make a new account, and it makes it very confusing when anyone changes anything. But if you were able to go under there, I can hold the line while you get her on. Thank you so much for holding that space. And it is really important, just like our last caller who is missing so deeply her partner that she is having a hard time moving forward. This is specific grief and acute grief, but we are dealing with a collective grief. So be patient with yourself. Feel the feelings. Alchemize them to a very productive energy when you're ready, meaning moving forward and looking into the future, because grief has no timeline there. It'll take as long as it takes, but just knowing that you will come up out of that and moving forward is going to be so beneficial, not only for the collective, the planet, but each person individually, not getting all swallowed up in that unknowing and wallowing in the uncertainty. It's very easy to do, but here at Heart Over Ego, we suggest you go ahead and alchemize that energy into curiosity of what the future holds as opposed to fear. Do we have a Sibyl?
We have a Sibyl. Hello.
Hello. That was confusing. We had a little issue there, and with the time zone issue as well as with Skype and the accounts and what have you. Sibyl, it's so nice to have you here. This is the Alchemy Sisters, and we're here every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do you want to tell all of our listeners how to get a hold of you and who you are?
Yes, my name, I am Sibyl Star, and I am a professional astrologer. And I do readings, I have videos, I teach classes, and you can reach me on my website at sibylstar.com. It has all of my contact information there. I also have a YouTube channel where I have videos. I put out twice a month videos for the new moon and the full moon with astrological updates on what's happening in the world. And lots of people want to know. So I share with people what's coming through me, what I see in the stars.
Beautiful. And Sibyl and I have a show on our sister network, Third Eye Political Radio, every other Wednesday called Political Star Talk. So not only can you find her on Facebook and her website and see her lovely videos, you can also catch her on our sister network. She gives lots of information, and we totally appreciate her. So, well, ladies, what should we talk about? Sibyl's the guest. I think she should have say of what we're talking about. She'll know more about the stars.
Well, I guess that's what I would ask you. What would you like to know?
Good.
I have a question for Sibyl.
Okay.
Sibyl, I'm so excited and honored to hold space with you. This is my first time holding space with you. I listen to your show often, but I haven't been able to talk with you. So thank you so much for showing up and being here on the Alchemy Sisters.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
Once you come on, you are an Alchemy Sister. And often our introduction question to guests is a little, if you can tell us, and if you're willing to, share just a little bit about your awakening and when you started to really tap into your spiritual gifts. I know you've been practicing astrology for a really long time, and it would be nice if you could give myself and our listeners a little nutshell of what that experience was like for you.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm going to say, well, I discovered astrology when I was about 12 years old. I was in Catholic school, and when I discovered astrology, that was an awakening for me. I found something that, it was like I finally found something that made sense to me. Mm-hmm. What I was experiencing in Catholic school was not making sense. And and it was at that point that I realized, for me, and I know many people that Catholic Church really means a lot to them, but for me, it was kind of an awakening to untruths that I was being told in in the Catholic school in the Catholic Church, and astrology just opened up a whole new world for me of understanding myself, understanding people. And I'm going to say I always had an interest in astrology after that. In my 20s, I got really into astrology, but then, like they say, life got in the way. And I didn't really start practicing astrology or becoming a professional astrologer till I was in my mid-40s, after I had gone through a major personal dark night of the soul, like we are going through now collectively and globally. And, we each have our own moments. And then I had another awakening, just a huge awakening. And I'm going to say my spiritual path ever since then has been a continual unfoldment. When I came to California, it was like I got on the fast track. Everything just opened in such a different way, and it's just been continuing to unfold. I'm a minister of Her Walking Prayer through the Center for Sacred Studies. And that's been, so I've had a kind of a concurrent path of indigenous wisdom along with my star knowledge, my star connection, and lots of ceremony, lots of just a lot. I've had I'm going to say I've been in California 13 years. The last 11 years, I have really, things have opened up in a really huge way, just for the groups I'm involved in the experiences I have had. And I also went to Egypt last fall, and that was, I would say that was another kind of gateway that just opened up really dramatically my connection to the spirit world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I want to go to Egypt really bad. Yeah, I want to get there.
So many women that I know went there last year and received such activation. So I think that's amazing. And thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Sibyl.
Yeah. So it's just, my path has taken many twists and turns, but all of it has been good.
Excellent. Anything in particular in the stars that you think should be brought to the table? Anything in
as I came on, you were talking about grief. Okay. Mm-hmm. And, we're going through a collective grief. And the stars are saying that. And I've been, Jennie, I've been on your show and you've heard it a lot. And Mandee, I guess you've listened as well. But Pluto is a major player in what is happening right now. There's a big conjunction of three planets, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. And these three planets, I don't know that I don't know when the last time all three of them were together in the same sign. I don't know, but they come together. There's a Jupiter Saturn conjunction every 20 years, a Pluto Saturn conjunction every 30 to 34, and a Pluto Jupiter conjunction every 12, and all three of them are together now, and they're kind of the big guns of the zodiac. And Pluto is god of death, transformation, and rebirth, and he's dancing with the Lord of Karma right now, which is Saturn. And Jupiter just expands everything and makes it bigger. And so we are in a time of reaping our karma. It is a day of reckoning. Like we can only go so far without dealing with what needs to be dealt with. And I shared the last time that Pluto and Saturn were together in Capricorn, and Capricorn rules the institutions that hold the civilization. Our banking, our government, our politics, healthcare, corporations, all of these different entities. And Pluto digs deep. He goes down. He's the god of death, so he brings grief. And we are seeing the veil pulled back on the corruption of the institutions that hold up our civilization. They've been decaying for a long time, but Pluto coming through here and with the Lord of Karma is just really pulling down that veil and showing us the truth of what is. And that's what Pluto asks for. Pluto asks for deep truth, deep honesty, being able to name something for what it is. And it's like an alcoholic, when the time comes for healing, they first have to admit what the problem is, that there is a problem. And so, that's where we are, is looking at the problems within the structures that we have created. And the truth of it is, a way of life is going. Everyone knows that we can't go back to what we called normal because it wasn't working for so many people. And yet, it can bring up fear. It can bring up, but it brings up grief. There's a lot of loss going on, and there's going to be a lot of loss as these structures, as the breakdown continues. We're going into like a composting phase where the breakdown is happening, and there is a future coming. We are in, as the breakdown is happening, we're in the process of creating the new, and yet it doesn't make it any easier. And all astrologers have known the year 2020 was going to be just a huge year because of all these planets, these 3 planets dancing together that bring such great change and transformation, as well as 6 eclipses. Every planet that can go retrograde is going retrograde, and most of them are retrograde right now. And retrograde, what that means is that the planets appear to be moving backwards. And they're not really moving backwards, but they appear that way. So a retrograde motion always makes us have to go back before we can go forward. And one thing I shared on the last, on the Political Star Talk was that the last time Pluto and Saturn were together in Capricorn was in 1518. And that was, 500 years ago. And that was actually, and I don't think I shared this detail, in 1518, Hernando Cortez, they were planning the invasion of Mexico. They were, and so it was, they had not, the colonization had not yet started on the North American continent. They were still on the islands, but they started planning that invasion, and that started in 1519, but it was planned with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. So it was when you have the god of death and you have the Lord of Karma dancing together, we are seeing the results of this last 500-year cycle of colonization. And the Lord of Karma, request. So we see the veil falling, and and people are actually seeing the truth, I think, for the first time for some people. And it demands that things be made right. That's the way it has to be. That's the way Saturn works. It is about coming into right alignment with integrity and truth, and to just simply make things right. So,
I love that. See, Mandee? See how descriptive she is and how she puts a story in your head with astrology? Often I hear astrologers talk their language, and I can't make much sense of it. And of course, it's very helpful still, even though I can't make full sense of it. Sibyl has a way of relaying the information in kind of like story fashion, which sticks in my head a lot better. So I always appreciate that. Sibyl, what do you think, Mandee? Isn't she amazing?
Absolutely. And that was beautiful. And Jennie and I, we study and see the collective often. And it's so, the thing I love about astrology, and I don't know much about it, is we can get those confirmations. So when you were talking about 1518 and, the potential invasion of Mexico and what was being planned, and I can see the parallels of what's happening right now, I'm like, oh, yeah. And I just love the amount of confirmation it can bring. And I thank you for doing it and studying it, because it's an art and it's complicated and amazing. And thank you so much for bringing it into our current landscape.
Wonderful. Ladies, we're going to cut to a really quick commercial. Everyone just hold tight for 1 minute. We'll be back.
You are listening to Heart Over Ego Radio, a network of shows offering healing and guidance for your beautiful journey. Tune in on Mondays for the Alchemy Sisters, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern. Tuesdays, tune in and tune up. Body awareness and self-care, 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Wednesdays, One for All is Love, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Thursdays, Unbound with Cynthia Martin, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. Fridays, The Witching Hour with Greenwich Village and the Alchemy Sisters, 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And on Fridays, Rain Radio, 10 Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Saturdays, Creating Heaven on Earth, 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And Sundays, Everyday Psychic Radio at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. This is the Heart Over Ego Radio Network.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Alchemy Sisters, and we are here every Monday, like the man said, and we have the beautiful Sibyl Star. You can find Sibyl Star on Facebook, and I'll have her tell us her website one more time, as well as you can find her on our sister station, Third Eye Political Radio, every other Wednesday, Political Star Talk. Sybil, can you tell everyone your website one more time?
Yes, it's SibylStar.com, and you spell that SIBYLSTAR. If you spell it wrong, you get someone else.
Make sure you get that one right. Else you get another Sibyl Star. So, Mandee, do you have any more questions?
I do, actually. I am curious, Sybil, how far into the future can astrologists see? And is there something you're looking forward to that shows maybe a little bit more peace than what we've got lined up with this conjunction right now?
I know this is some pretty rockin' times right now. Well, what I see, absolutely, and like I said, I kind of walk a parallel path of indigenous wisdom. My community is my spiritual community is the Center for Sacred Studies, and they were the ones who, or my community were the ones who helped the International Council of the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers come together, and we have very close ties with that community. So I hear a lot of prophecy and a lot of indigenous wisdom that I actually weave in and out of my astrology, and so I want to. So I want to share a little bit of that because, there's absolutely hope. It's just that we're in the breakdown phase right now of a process. It's an alchemical process. I mean, it is the breakdown phase. Mm-hmm. And we're actually between the worlds. We're not where we were, and we're not yet where we're going. So it's like the energy the potential for creation is so much higher. In times like these, it's actually fertile. And so the planet Neptune was something I want to talk about. And Neptune is, Neptune to me, Neptune is that place where we remember we are all one. So to me, it's like the field. I can't remember the name of the field. I think they call it Hosen Boggs. I can't remember. But anyway, science has discovered a field that we are all part of, and where everything is energy, in quantum physics. And that is what Neptune represents. And what they say about the field and about Neptune is that we are constantly co-creating our world. And so everything that we put into the field has the potential to become manifest. And so as we come to a different understanding of the nature of reality, as we move away from Newtonian physics into quantum physics and understand we are co-creators at all times, that we can actually create the world we want. And a big piece of it we're going through as well now is around our belief systems. Jupiter represents beliefs. And so it's in the quantum field, the only thing that is impossible is what we believe is impossible. And so we're in a process of changing our belief systems and understanding that everything is possible. But the key is to raise our vibration, to put love into the field, to really pay attention to our words, that our words have power, that we're co-creating all the time. And that we are, the the indigenous prophecy is this, and this is what I want to talk about, is that, and it's coming from so many different indigenous prophecies, and the one I'm going to share came from, actually, it was a Japanese indigenous prophecy, the Shinto, a priest of the Shinto religion, and he said it's an ancient prophecy that in these times, Mother Earth would start shifting into higher dimensions, and that we are going with her. It's not a question of whether or not we're going with her. It's just how difficult or easy will the process be. And as she is shifting into higher dimensions, she is throwing off all of the low vibrational, negative energy, because and if we want to go with her, we have to do our own work. So that is why our shadow is coming up so strong now, is because we have to deal with it. It's like someone compared it like going through the eye of the needle. And to go through that eye of the needle, we can't take all that old emotional baggage, that energetic baggage. So it's all coming up personally and collectively. So it's so important to know that is what is happening. Mother Earth, this is the shift. This is what's called the Great Turning. It has started. We are moving. The old is breaking down, and it can't be fixed. It's like it's how do we heal? How do we release it, heal it, and move forward? And so one of the things that keeps coming through to me is two things that are really important. One is the different prayer circles, the healing circles, as we understand the field, and that we are connected through the field. We don't have to be in each other's presence, and that we can lift the vibration of ourselves and what is happening. It's like everybody has kind of a role to play in what's happening. And some people are out on the streets. Everybody's got something different. And there are some of us, especially probably the older of us, are the ones that are praying, holding these prayer circles, these healing circles, raising the vibration. But the thing is, your own vibration has to be, you have to be doing your own work along with it to be able to hold that vibration up as we shift into these higher consciousness pieces. So just say an example would be what is happening, with police brutality, and how that is so coming to the forefront, and people are like really, it's really showing us, just what they have become. The other piece is that there are some police that have laid down their weapons and marched with the protesters. Now, I know people say, don't fall for it, don't fall for it. Well, isn't this what we want? Don't we want these police, don't we want them to remember their humanity, open their hearts, lay down their weapons, and walk with us? So I feel it's like holding that vibration. How difficult or easy can we make it? And if we can hold a vibration and hold that prayer, that more police will remember their humanity, their families, and that we are all members of the human family, and praying for their hearts to open and remember that we can impact that, is what I'm saying.
I think there's a lot of fantastic cops out there, and I think there's a lot of people that lay down their lives every day to go protect us. And I think that we should accept their kneeling or their participation in our protests, because like everyone's saying, a few bad apples. Well, I think it might be more than a few, but there absolutely are fantastic apples in that space, and we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We can go in and reconstruct it, take a look at it, maybe do a couple more psychological evaluations, see where we're getting a majority of these officers, and I think we can heal it through there. We don't have to get rid of all the cops. There are some fantastic ones.
Right. And so, so it's like through this Neptunian piece of understanding how we co-create our world. That is a place through the heart. It's heart to heart, connecting with these people that are human beings as well. And so I'm just using that as an example of a way that we can raise the vibration and how it applies to that prophecy, that how difficult or easy will this transition be? That is a place that I feel like that we actually can help and impact that. Because, yes, of course, there's a lot of wonderful human beings that are police. And the thing is, if we share, what some police are doing, like laying down their arms, it might give another one the idea, you know what, I have a choice. I have a choice here. I don't have to do this. I can do this differently,
And that's what we're looking at. The Hanged Man, if we were looking at an energy of a tarot card, it would be the Hanged Man, seeing things through a different view, viewing things from a different angle. And that's what we want. That's where healing happens, is viewing and understanding. And I think there was probably a lot of good cops out there who didn't really know what to do about the bad cops, because maybe their safety depended on it. Maybe their family's safety depended on it, depending on how deep it was. Maybe their job depended on it. So I think we, standing with the good cops, will help them be able to, so to speak, bring to the surface the bad cops and not be reprimanded or have their life at jeopardy.
Right. Absolutely. And so Pluto is the one that pulled down that veil, and the piece was people looked at it and saw the truth and called it out and named it in a way it hasn't been done before. So that's the Pluto piece. So they have to work together. And just so you know, Jennie, the Hangman card is the Neptune card of the deck.
No way.
Yes.
I know tarot. I'm not great with astrology, although I love learning about it. But tarot, I have an understanding of, and I can see the systematic understanding of it. So, yes, wonderful.
Right, and the big piece is of Neptune that is also aligned with the Hanged One card is the piece of surrender. When Neptune comes along, there is a piece of understanding the spirit is guiding this. There's, and it isn't always going to make sense, and there's a big piece of trust, but to know that we're where we need to be. We are, and that spirit is here with us. Another astrologer that I know, he said, the whole universe is cheering for us to make this shift, and they are here to support us. And we can call on the invisible realm. We can call on our angels. We can call on our guides. We can call on whoever it is we pray to, that they are there just because we can't see them. There's, what is it they say? The difference between, the space, there's so little matter and so much space what is it? I was just listening to someone and they said, I think it's like the nucleus of an atom is like a baseball in the middle of a baseball field. The whole atom is like the baseball field. There's the amount of matter would be the size of a baseball inside of a whole baseball stadium. It might have even been smaller than that. So so the world of invisible is what is very powerful, and it's here, and to call on them as we're going through this. And the other piece of the indigenous prophecy, a different prophecy, was that they're saying 2026 is when the shift will happen, and the astrology, I would say, supports that, because in that year there's a really in astrology there's 4 very important points. They're called the cardinal points, and we know them as the what do you call them? The eclipse? No, not the eclipses. The equinoxes and the solstices. Okay, and so it's where the sun reaches 0 degrees of the cardinal signs. 0 degrees Capricorn is winter solstice. 0 degrees Aries is spring equinox. 0 degrees Cancer is summer solstice, and 0 degrees Libra is fall equinox. And so that's called 0 point, and it's a very, very powerful point. It's called Aries point. And Saturn and Neptune, and Saturn represents reality. Saturn represents consensus reality. It represents just simply 3D reality. It's all cause and effect. And Neptune, like I said, is the world of the invisible. It's magic. It's dreams. And they say when those two come together, one of the meanings, it has the potential to make your dreams real. And the indigenous people have picked out that year, 2026, and that is the year Saturn and Neptune meet at 0 degrees Aries. I mean, it's like, I couldn't have made this up. It's at the most powerful point in the zodiac. The two planets working together about making our reality, making our dream real. So, and the other thing I wanted to say before I move on and forget is there is an eclipse coming up in 2 weeks. What day is that? It's on summer solstice at 0 degrees Cancer. There is a solar eclipse, and so that's going to be a really big thing. And Cancer represents the love of the mother. I feel like oh gosh, let's see. Wow. Well, there's something called the Sabian. Excuse me. Got this book. There's something called the Sabian symbols, and I know I'm kind of weaving in and out here, but it's just something important that needs to be said. The Sabian symbols. A woman in the 1930s or something. Anyway, she had a vision for every degree of the zodiac, and I use these a lot because I'm a very visual person, and to envision something is often gives meaning to something I did not see before. And so the Sabian symbol for the solar eclipse that is coming up at 0 degrees Cancer on summer solstice, which I believe is actually late in the day on the 20th. But anyway, it's on a ship. Sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one.
Yes. I love it.
So I feel like that is a huge shift. It is showing us, and Cancer is so much about love. It is an opening of the heart chakra. I feel like that's what this is about. It's an opening of the heart chakra in a much bigger way. And that the old flag, we are lowering the old flag of patriarchy and raising a new one of love.
I can dig all day long with that. I mean, that speaks my language. It talks to my cellular level. I love it. And it lines up with my theories of you pick the womb you come out of and you pick the time that you come in. And we are definitely picking a very hot spot to come in and move and shake. So anyone dealing with problems with change, be sure to put extra effort around that. There's going to be nothing but it. Getting ready for the flexibility is going to help us move forward and to be less heels in the dirt. Gosh, Mandee, do you have any more questions?
I don't at the moment, but I just really appreciate you, Sibyl, and I'm really interested in learning more about you. We have another show, Creating Heaven on Earth, that I host on Saturdays, and maybe sometime if you're interested, you could come on and talk a little bit about your vision and the things that you receive from your beautiful community, which I would love to learn more about too. And what did you call them, the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers?
Well, my community is the Center for Sacred Studies.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my community. But we work, but my spiritual community and the leaders of my spiritual community work very hand in hand with a lot of indigenous communities, and I'd be very happy to share their information if you're interested, because they actually are holding once a month like an international delegation of different indigenous members who are sharing their prophecies, their stories, and their prayers, because it's just really coming in so strongly through them, through their really big connection to Mother Earth. You know, they are our direct line to Mother Earth. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about was the Uranus in Taurus. And Taurus is so much about Mother Earth. It's the sign that rules Mother Earth. I mean, they're just, and Uranus is like awakening and consciousness. So it feels like there is a huge awakening of the consciousness of Mother Earth. Not so much her consciousness. Well, it is too, because she's shifting into higher dimensions. So her consciousness is growing, and our ability to connect with her consciousness. And so many of the other teachings I am getting and receiving, this is so how we move through these times is aligning ourselves with Mother Earth. Doing grounding. And I've just recently learned of earthing. I don't know if you're familiar with it. There's a movie called Earthing that it really talks about about the electrical field of Mother Earth and how we connect to her and the ions and how she's healing and how she heals us. But the messages I am getting is to just hold our seats, and our seats are in her lap. She is how we need to be connected. And so definitely a return to nature, being outdoors as much as you can, and understanding that her messages are coming through really clearly now to a lot of people. But, of course, the indigenous people have been getting her messages for a very long time. And they right now are the ones that really hold the wisdom and the guide to help us through these times.
So fantastic. I appreciate that so much. You should absolutely go on Mandee's show on Saturday. We would love to have you as much as possible here at Heart Over Ego. We adore you. It's such a pleasure. Do you mind telling us where you were born? What state?
I was born in Kansas City, Missouri.
Middle of the country, Missouri. Yeah. Wonderful.
And
excellent.
I lived there until I was 57. Well, I moved a couple of times, but I pretty much stayed there until I came to California I was 57, so that would have been 207, I think, 2007.
Sibyl just had her 70th birthday, so she
Happy
has
birthday.
been here fighting the good fight for decades upon decades. I always appreciated her energy. And one more time for the listeners, the ones in the back who didn't get a chance to hear, Sibyl, tell everyone how to get a hold of you.
Yes, I have a website, SibylStar.com, and you spell that SIBYLSTAR. And you can go there. It has my contact information. My email is Sibyl@SibylStar.com. I have a YouTube channel called Sibyl Star, and I have a Facebook page called Star Nation Oracle. And so I do videos, I do readings, I do classes, and I'm just getting ready to update my website and having lots of online classes soon, hopefully.
Wonderful. Glad to have you on. We want to have you on next season, of course, see where you're at, see what you're getting into. Mandee, do you have any closing remarks?
Just that I appreciate you. As Jennie said, thank you for fighting this good fight and paving the path for us who have come after you, and I appreciate that so much. And I'm just wondering, as we're closing out, we've got just a couple minutes left, and if you just have any insight on maybe bringing it into like this week and what people can focus on for self-care during these retrogrades.
Oh, okay. Retrogrades, there's a big piece. It's called the Great Pause, slowing down. And, Venus retrograde is so much about reevaluating relationships, our connections with others. And it's in Gemini, so your communication with others. I'm going to say those things are really up for everyone, how we connect and communicate with each other. Venus is retrograde, oh golly, just a few more weeks, and then she goes direct, but she's been retrograde a while. Mercury goes retrograde on the 18th. Mercury is retrograde 3 times a year, 3 weeks at a time, and of course Mercury retrograde, everybody knows about that, but you just kind of have to follow the flow of energy, because everything kind of gets twisted around, because basically retrogrades happen when we've gotten ahead of ourselves and we need to slow down and reassess and reevaluate our lives.
I can dig with that. I appreciate all of you. This is the Alchemy Sisters. We are Heart Over Ego Radio. Find us in any major podcast app, YouTube, and Blog Talk Radio. We appreciate you. We're going to head out with a commercial. Until next time, this is the Alchemy Sisters, and we're here every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we have someone almost as remarkable as Sibyl every time, but definitely someone remarkable, someone that you're going to want to listen to. Sibyl, we appreciate you, and until next time, here is our commercial.
You are listening to Heart Over Ego Radio, a network of shows offering healing and guidance for your beautiful journey. Tune in on Mondays for the Alchemy Sisters, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern. Tuesdays, tune in and tune up. Body awareness and self-care, 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Wednesdays, One for All is Love, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Thursdays, Unbound with Cynthia Martin, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. Fridays, The Witching Hour with Greenwich Village and the Alchemy Sisters, 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And on Fridays, Rain Radio, 10 Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Saturdays, Creating Heaven on Earth, 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And Sundays, Everyday Psychic Radio at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. This is the Heart Over Ego Radio Network.